Here we go. What's going on, wealth creators? Matt AI's here. I'm a little frustrated right now, a little fired up, and it's because I cannot believe some of the things that I've heard from IUL agents this week. It is absolutely insane how this thing is illustrated, presented, and sold to people. It's really sad to me because people are going to make major life-changing financial decisions based on wrong information and just sometimes flat out lies. And in this video, I want to just talk about, address, expose what I believe is the biggest lie about indexed universal life insurance that I have heard from 2 IUL agents this week is that there's no risk and you can't lose money in an IUL. So I don't even know how those statements are legal. I'm pretty sure saying to somebody that you can never lose money is like the worst thing you can say in finance. Like the one statement that you always want to avoid. You never want to say that. And I've heard it twice from IUL agents this week. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the problem is that people will believe it and make these major financial decisions, because you sound good on video and you got a fancy IUL presentation, you've been practicing your sales techniques and all that stuff. Okay, good for you. And you're telling people that you're showing all of the amazing benefits of this product, but you conveniently forget or intentionally do not disclose the risks involved and all the things that can go wrong. Now, I want to be clear here. Can an IUL work? Sure. If it's properly structured, managed properly, you got to manage it like a hawk. You got to make sure you manage your net amount at risk. Okay. You got to work with somebody who knows what they're doing. For me, it's still not worth it. I think it's a very risky product. It's completely useless because if you want upside potential and downside protection in the market, you can get that with a whole life product. So why on earth would you ever mess with an IUL? Just to get a couple of extra potential percentage points of growth. I mean, really, if we talk about risk reward, is the amount of risk that you're taking for the amount of additional reward worth it? If you just use common sense and you think about this logically, the answer is absolutely not. Okay. But let's just say if you understand how these things work and you know how to design them, you know how to manage it. Okay. And you want to roll the dice, be my guest, do what you want. I don't have a problem with people making informed and educated decisions because you have to decide what is best for you. What is your risk tolerance with where you're putting your money, right? My problem is I don't think 99.9% of people who buy IUL know what they're actually buying. And it's because of crap like this. And I'm just sick and tired of it because people are going to get hurt. How many people have already been hurt by just universal life in general, universal life products? And, I know I'm going to get in the comments section. Oh, well, IUL is so different. It's still built on the same crappy chassis, bro. Okay. Universal life insurance. Annual renewable term. Your cost of insurance goes up every single year. You have to manage your net amount at risk. You start taking income. You're 65, 70 years old. You have a couple of 0 years in an IUL. You better be careful. That thing could blow up in your face. Not to mention the ridiculous illustration that IUL agents show. 6.9 to 7% compound, uninterrupted compound growth every single year in a stock market product. Since when has there ever been an eternal bull market where the market goes up every single year? So when you say people can never lose money, what on earth are you talking about? Anytime you have a 0 year, particularly when you're older, not so much when you're in your younger years during the accumulation phase of an IUL, that's not really where the issues show up. It's when you get older, your cost of insurance is really expensive. And you have to manage your net amount at risk. If you manage your net amount at risk, yes, you can manage the overall risk of an IUL, right? But then, if you have 0 years and you've got a $500,000, $1 million loan balance, which is not hard to rack up in an IUL because they show ridiculous amounts of income being taken, 10%. Would you take 4%, would you take 10% out of your 401k every year? No. So why would you do it in an IUL? Oh, let me guess, because you get downside protection in the market. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Not nearly as good as it sounds. All right. But this is my biggest issue. It's not necessarily with IUL, even though I'm not a fan. It's how it's presented to people. And these absolutely ridiculous statements that IUL agents make. So let me share my screen. I'm going to break down this comment. This is a video talking about Kaizen. It's I mean, you really want to roll the dice here, guys? Why don't you go into debt in order to buy an IUL? That sounds like a really good idea, doesn't it? Sure. Would you go into debt to invest in your 401k? Would you get a loan to to invest in the stock market? I don't think most people would, but apparently it's different with IUL. Okay, whatever. So a friend of mine commented on the video, and he shared a screenshot of her response because it's so ridiculous. And I was like, okay, I gotta chime in here. I gotta share my thoughts on this because this is so ridiculous. He said, this is an incredibly risky strategy. Be aware, which it absolutely is. Look at this, guys. There is no risk. It's IUL with financing. You can never lose money. Right there, the alarm bells should be going off in your head. That, like, like I was saying earlier, I can't understand how that's even legal. And I even brought it up in my comment. I'm like, I wonder how many legal, company compliance, and ethics violations were in that one statement, or that one statement breaks. You can't say that to people. I don't know how they get away with this. This is absolutely insane. So like, because if you have to tell somebody that you can never lose money in order to sell your product, and you don't think you can sell it if people actually know how it works and what the risks are involved, maybe you shouldn't be selling it. Like, I sell one of the safest I help put together one of the safest products in the world. It's whole life insurance. I have 2 policies now, and I am licensed, and I can help set those policies up. Proud of it because they're incredible. And they're really, really safe because it's based on contract law. Whole life policies are guaranteed to grow every single year. You don't have to worry about the rising cost of insurance, your premiums going up. That is, there's nowhere near any of the amounts of issues with a whole life product that there is in an IUL. You know what I do? What I do say though, and I disclose, because I would never tell somebody that there's no risk in this. You know what the risk is with a whole life policy? It's you. That's it. If you're a complete idiot with your whole life policy, it can lapse. If you don't let it mature, you don't fund it properly, and then let it mature, and then you start leveraging it through policy loans, and you don't pay those policy loans back, yeah, your whole life policy can blow up. You know what it can't do, though? It won't lapse due to rising cost of insurance. It's not reliant on the stock market for its performance. There's not all these like crazy multipliers and participation rates and spread charges and all this crap. Like, do we really want to be dealing with that for an extra couple of potential percentage points of growth? To me, it's just not worth it. But regardless, like, even if that does sound good to you and you want to get those extra percentage points of growth potential, go for it. Just please understand what you're putting money into. And at the very least, know that there is risk and you can lose money. So this statement is absolutely insane to me. It's this crap right here that I have the biggest issue with when it comes to IUL. Man, that's just insane. I want to show you the other comment. I was having a back and forth with a gentleman on a video I watched. And again, he made the same outrageous statement that you can't lose money in an IUL. You can see here's my comment. It's IUL 101 with F&G. So at the 1 minute mark, he says you can't lose money in an IUL. At 19 minutes and 39 seconds, he says it again. I called him out on it. Didn't like that. Of course, I'm the idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm on a crusade and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I guess you could say I'm on a crusade to expose the trash that you're selling to people and the lies that you're saying in order to sell it. So I guess you could say that. But right here, let's see, he says, got it. I think you misunderstood me. I stand by my statement because in the previous comment, I said, like, look, if you properly structure and manage these things, can they work? Sure. That's not really my problem. It's like when you say things like people can't lose money in an IUL, that's what I have a problem with. And then he says, oh, you misunderstood me. I stand by my statement. So he stands by his statement of saying you can never lose money in an IUL. The statement is absolutely true. It is not. But he says, oh, in the long term. Okay, long term, you're not going to lose if designed properly and assuming the world doesn't come to an end. Okay, so apparently there has to be World War III nuclear apocalypse in order for an IUL to fail. That's a joke. But again, long term, can you manage the risk? Yes. There's certain things you can do to manage risk in an IUL. Still doesn't mean it's going to perform anywhere nearly or anywhere close to what is illustrated. It's still going to run in. It still has the potential to run into a lot of problems. Okay, but can you manage the risk? Sure. But to say that there's no risk and you can't lose money, what happens when you're 70 years old? You've got a $500,000 loan balance because you've been taking income in the form of policy loans. All right, your interest rate is 5%. And all of a sudden, you have a 0 year because the market doesn't magically go up every single year like your IUL illustration shows. What happens to your policy? What happens to your cash value? Where do all of the costs and fees come from in that year? So if I have $1 million loan balance at 5%, I'm pretty sure that's $50,000 of interest that is due, which is not covered by the credit I was supposed to get because of the eternal bull market that never ends. So where does it come from? Cash value. So what does that mean? You lost a crap ton of money, not to mention your cost of insurance as well, based on whatever your net amount of risk is. So what are you talking about? And here's the thing: when I say $1 million loan balance, if you think I'm crazy, it does not take long to rack up a massive loan balance in an IUL based on what they're telling you could do, because they're typically showing you taking 8 to 10% of your cash value every single year in the form of a policy loan. I had one agent show me $212,000 of income starting at 65 for the rest of my life. That was an illustration that was sent to me to compare my whole life policy. $212,000. So that means in 5 years, I'd have over $1 million in a loan balance. And my interest rate, say it's 5%. What happens when I have a 0 year? The market doesn't go up every single year. Where does all that come from, guys? It comes from the cash value, which means you lose money. And if you don't understand that, and you're making all these plans and all these financial decisions around this mythical, fake, misleading illustration, I got news for you. You're going to be very disappointed. And when you're 65, 70 years old, how do you recover from that? Not to mention, so let's talk about a couple of other things. So if the policy lapses and you took out all this income, far more than what you put in. I saw an IUL agent show on TikTok today. Oh, that's going to be fun doing those videos. Let's see. In his illustration, we put in $126,000, and then we took out $1.5 million. Really? That doesn't throw off make any alarm bells go off in your head? Okay, but let's say that happened. But then let's say these things, it does go south and we run into problems and it does lapse. You now have a massive tax bill that you are on the hook for. So not only did you completely lose your policy, you lost all the money you put into it, you lost all the benefits. Now you have a massive tax bill that you owe to the IRS in retirement. Is that a risk you want to take? But then let's say you're able to manage the risk and it doesn't lapse. Okay, fine. But if it underperforms, which is likely going to do because the market doesn't go up every single year, are you going to have $100,000 of income every single year? Or are you only going to have $20,000 or $30,000 of income every year? It only takes a couple of percentage points off. Like when you look at an IUL illustration, look at the difference between, like usually they'll show like a 4 to 4.5%, like kind of in the middle, where they'll usually say that's a worst case scenario. All right. But then you compare that column, the values in that column, to the actual assumption of like the 6.97%, which is what IUL agents use to actually sell it to you. There's a huge difference, guys. Number one, it actually shows the policy lapsing most of the time, because if the policy doesn't grow enough, you run into a lot of trouble because of that rising cost of insurance. Okay. But just 1 or 2 percentage points off from the illustration can completely blow up a policy. It can at least blow up the income. Like if you think you're going to be sitting good, sipping margaritas in Mexico, swimming in the beaches of Tahiti in retirement because you're going to take out $100,000, $200,000 per year in income, and that doesn't happen. Yeah, big news for you. Lots of problems. Okay. So here's the thing, guys. You want to buy an IUL, just do your research first. Know what you're buying, please. And then if you still want to do it, be my guest. All right. You're an adult. You can make your own decisions, but make informed decisions, not decisions based on crap like this where you can never lose money. Please don't believe that. All right. So anyways, I guess that's it. That's it for my rant right now. It's just, this stuff is really frustrating. It's so dangerous because people are going to get hurt by this, and it's sad. So I'm just doing my part, doing my part in my crusade, as that gentleman said. Go back to or have fun in your crusade, or whatever dumb crap he said. So anyways, I hope this was helpful, guys. Hope it just brings a little bit of clarity. And you know what? Not even clarity, just reminds us to have a little bit of common sense about these things. Like when people are making statements like this, we should really be careful. All right. There's risk in just about everything. So to say that there's no risk and you can't lose money, just please be careful when you see that. All right. So if you have any questions, any comments, drop them down below. I'm sure the comment section is going to be very interesting, as it always does. So I'm looking forward to having some fun with you guys. But I will talk to you in the next one. To your success, Matty Ice is out.